Coming up, what comes after the battle for Mosul? It's not what you might think.
I don't think this is going to be a flash-in-the-pan military conflict. I think this is something that we're going to be dealing with for years to come.
Welcome back. As you can see, life goes on here in the Haza refugee camp. The crisis in northern Iraq has affected millions of people. Here's a look at the current situation and why some believe after ISIS it could lead to a more dangerous situation. The town of Beshika sits just a few miles from Mosul and ISIS. Driving through the town, it bears the scars of a bitter battle. Before Beshika and other towns were liberated by the Kurdish military, ISIS planted thousands of IEDs, booby-trapped homes, and dug dozens of tunnels. It will take months to make these areas completely safe. Commanding General Bahram Yassin told CBN News his Peshmerga soldiers are clearing the town to create a safe zone. General Bahram says the town will need major help from humanitarian and relief groups to help in the rebuilding.
We are here to serve the military in a medical capacity.
Dalton Thomas directs one group that provides humanitarian relief and supports the Peshmerga.
Because we think it is a morally, ethically, biblically appropriate and noble thing to do, to serve the people who are fighting to preserve life. We want to help them preserve life as they fight to preserve life. For the Peshmerga, this is not a war of conquest and dominion. This is a war of defense and stabilization.
Thomas believes it's an important time for the U.S. to stand with the Kurds.
Kurdistan is our greatest ally in the region, apart from Israel. And Kurdistan is this bastion of hope, I think, in the midst of this war. I think they deserve our trust. I think they deserve our support. I am glad and proud as an American that we have served Kurdistan. I would like to see that service and that commitment be exponentially grown over the next few years.
Some hope the incoming Trump administration will increase that support to the Kurds. Yet after the battle to defeat ISIS, some believe the vacuum created will lead to a more dangerous situation. Thomas presents a possible and potentially dangerous scenario after Mosul.
I don't think this is going to be a flash-in-the-pan military conflict. I think this is something that we're going to be dealing with for years to come. And it's going to evolve and adapt and take new shapes in coming months and years that are unfortunately a lot more terrifying than ISIS is itself, because the removal of ISIS doesn't remove the conflict just evolves into a new conflict.
How do you see that evolving?
Worst case scenario, it's civil war, because many would argue, if you just grab the average, Kurd or Arab on the street and ask them their take on it, many of them would say our greatest fear is actually an unprecedented ethnic religious conflict that is more about Saudi, Iran, Sunni, Shiite than it is about Mosul or ISIS. And in many ways, ISIS is a smokescreen. Mosul is a smokescreen. It's becoming kind of the whipping boy. It's the powder keg where all of these other tensions are being brought. Now, if the coalition, if the leaders, if Abadi, if Barzani, if Erdogan can navigate through it in such a way as to throw water on the fire and not gasoline on the fire, it could be that the situation could be minimized and it could just be a focused campaign against the Islamic State, and they could then shift to Raqqa. That's like best case scenario, which I think is probably unsanctified optimism at this stage.